Hello and welcome to the Blockchain and Us, where pioneers and thought leaders talk about their journey in blockchain technology, crypto assets, and the token economy. And I'm your host, Manuel Staggers. If you enjoy this podcast, please give it a top rating and review on iTunes, and feel free to follow me on Twitter at Manuel Staggers. This episode is brought to you by Descartes Finance. Descartes is the leading Swiss digital wealth manager, providing its products and services to individuals, family offices, charitable organizations, banks, and asset managers. Its investment strategies lead the way. They harness the largest know-how as only a digital investment advisor can. To learn more, please visit www.descartes-finance.com. My guest today is Mauro Casellini, who is responsible for the blockchain business lines at Bank Frick in Balzers, Liechtenstein. He heads up a team of 14 employees responsible for advising business clients and payment service providers, as well as for ICOs and all requests related to cryptocurrencies. Mauro mainly focuses on the question of how to increase the efficiency of business processes using blockchain technology. He began his career in the financial industry in 2006, has an MBA in strategy management, and is a cryptocurrency expert. And now, to the interview. Hello, Mauro, and many thanks for making time today.
Hello, Manuel. Thank you also that I'm able to speak here with you.
We met at an ICO conference in Switzerland a few months ago, and you were on a panel on that conference, and you were actually one of two persons from a bank on stage there among hundreds of speakers at that conference. How did you end up on that panel?
Yes, that's a good question. So all started with the panel was of FinTech and the future of banking in the crypto world. And that's exactly where Bank Frick is focusing on. So Bank Frick is a private bank, privately owned bank in Liechtenstein, who is focusing on FinTech and payments since about 2011. And then I jumped on crypto by myself in 2013 and realized that FinTech and payment together is crypto, is blockchain. And that's a future. And then I dig deeper and realized that this will definitely change a lot. And therefore, I spoke with the management and the board, and we worked on solutions, how we could jump on that train and help the industry of the blockchain and crypto world to get bank accounts, to help them to realize their projects. And that's why I jumped even deeper into these topics. And then Olga from this ICO summit asked me if I would like to be a part of the panel, about the future of banking and finance in the blockchain world. And I was really happy because I'm here to share my know-how, and I'm here to share my way of thinking about the future of banking and finance.
And your bank is really one of the first in the world to offer, I think it's a direct cryptocurrency investment and cold storage, right?
Yes, exactly. Bank Frick was one of the first in the world who started 2017 with allowing their clients to invest directly in cryptocurrencies. We started cryptocurrencies in a cold storage, who is super safe as possible. And we help the clients, therefore, to jump on that crypto train without opening accounts at exchanges with brokers or whatever. We help them, we store the private keys for them, and they have the Bitcoins really at Bank Frick stored. And on the other side, we offer also a lot of other services with this cold storage setup. So even ICOs can store their raised Ethereum and cryptocurrencies at Bank Frick. We store it for them, we help them with that to keep the assets safe in a safe place, and that they don't be a target for other guys who would like to steal their tokens. And we also made some kind of a special way of helping the crypto world with making crypto bankable. We set up some certificates, and we are also the custodian of some fully regulated crypto funds under European law that allow to invest into cryptocurrencies. So you could buy a fund that invests into cryptocurrencies, and you do not even need to open a wallet or whatever, and you have in your securities account this crypto fund to invest into crypto and therefore invest in the future.
Do you also, just curious, the cold storage. I spoke with Olga recently about her adventures with Xapo in the Swiss Alps, where they had this cold storage in a hollowed out mountain. Do you also go to that length with your cold storage?
So we have different levels of security in our cold storage setup. So we have some geo-redundant setup that is really super safe, and we have only access once per day to this setup. So it's more or less comparable to the Texapo setup, who is really super safe and great. But we always store everything in our own hands. So we never give some part of the private keys to a third party, because this would be too risky for us. Therefore, we go some steps back, are slower because of that, but the security is as high as possible.
Cool. How is, I'm wondering, how is the buy-in into this whole direction with cryptocurrencies and ICOs and tokens in general? How is the buy-in from the top management of the bank? Because I'm sure, there must have been people who were, not so embracing of this whole direction.
That's quite a good question, definitely. But it's definitely, it was for me, but for myself, really, I was surprised, because everyone at Bank Frick was completely 100% for it. I spoke with the management and the board, and they said, yes, Mauro, that's true. That's definitely the future, because Bank Frick is a FinTech bank since 2011. And so they realized really early that this is the next step. This is the next big thing. It's the financial revolution. It will change a lot. And therefore, they said, Mauro, we need to be a part of it. Look into it. Show us some business cases, how it could work, how we can make it possible, how we can help the industry with banking services. And that's why, yes, we jumped in really early, read a lot of things about it, made a lot of things below the radar, and waited about 2 years before we even started with getting out with a service, before we started looking into it.
Was there a specific event maybe, that prompted you to bring this to the bank? I mean, many people tell me about Cyprus, when that happened, and they said, oh yeah, then it became obvious that this is going to be the future. Was there something similar for you?
For me, not really. I first time heard in 2011 about this Bitcoin, realized that this could be something interesting, but I thought it's too early. And in 2013, again, I jumped on it through my studies and then realized, okay, now that's definitely going to a big thing. And from this moment on, I knew it's going to change a lot of things. And I definitely didn't need some kind of special event, because, as you say, with Cyprus and everything, there were a lot of events who helped the industry, and on the other side, who were a problem for the industry. There are still some problems that are out there that say, oh God, it's really difficult, and it will take longer than we expect. But I'm still really sure that it will be faster as we all think, and it will change a lot, and really, really soon.
You said before 2011 you got into touch with cryptocurrencies. How did that happen? I mean, did somebody tell you about it, or did you dig around on the internet and find the white paper, or how did that happen?
During my studies of business administration, I had a teacher who was really, really deep into IT and technology. And he saw Bitcoin the first time, I think, in 2010 or 2009. And he showed it to us that this is the new way of everything, decentralized storage of value. This is better than every bank, and we can live without banks. And then I looked at it and I thought, yeah, okay, live without banks, that's fine. But then I started to realize, okay, there is something that is really, it's not only, it doesn't show that Mauro Casellini has one Bitcoin. It really is there. It's in my wallet. Everyone can see that it's there. And it's not only a bookable asset, it's really there. And that's why I really, really liked it. And I thought, okay, this can definitely change a lot.
Now, when you're running this whole sector of crypto at Frick currently, right?
Yes, I'm the head of blockchain and payment service providers at Bank Frick, and responsible for the blockchain part. But I also work really close together with other departments in the bank that are really needed. For example, with Raphael Haltner from the funds and product side, who was the guy behind this crypto certificate and the crypto AIF. So we need the whole bank to make this possible, because it's every single employee of the bank is somehow touched to this blockchain and crypto world. It's not only that my team of 15 guys in the blockchain department are affected to blockchain. It's the whole bank, and it changes the whole way of thinking of the whole bank.
How easy, in your experience, how easy is the regulation part of it?
The regulation part is a really important topic, and it's a really difficult topic because it's the actual world works pretty easy with the systems that are out there that can filter every transaction and know exactly what happens. If I receive money from Germany, I know, okay, it is more or less safe, and make some checks, and it's easy. In the crypto world, we jump a lot of years back because we do not know where the money or the value comes from. So we need completely new tools that are there and make some chain analysis who look what happened with this token, where it comes from, where will it go to, what happened with it. And that's really, really a difficult topic, and it's not that easy to solve. And at the moment, it's not that regulated. But I hope that the regulator really jumps on it, looks at it in detail, regulates it, but do not over-regulate it. Because if there is too much regulation, it will destroy the technology, and that's definitely what should not happen.
But in Liechtenstein, I mean, Liechtenstein is a pretty crypto-friendly jurisdiction, right? I mean, I'm sure it's probably one of the better ones when it comes to regulation. I mean, what are your experiences there?
Exactly. So crypto-friendly is a good word, but it's really also on the regulated side really strict. So we have some really, really good discussions all the time with the regulator and also with the government. So I met them really about once a month, speak with them about the new ways, what happened, and we decide on that topics, how we can go on. So we do not make something without even speaking with the regulator. Every decision we make is 100% spoken about with the government and the regulator, and they help us to really make these things possible in this whole regulated environment that's out there. So it's crypto friendly, but it's really also going deep into the regulation part and looking at KYC, AML, and all that stuff, because that's really essential for all of us, that we only work with clean and proper business in the crypto world.
Do you also, I mean, I'm sure it's pretty tough sometimes maybe for the regulator to even understand what you're doing or what you want to do. I mean, do you also help them work and design regulation that is safe and helpful for you?
We work really close together with the government, also with some kind of special lawyers in Liechtenstein. For example, there is Thomas Negele in Vaduz. He's he comes originally from the technical part. He was a programmer, a techie, who jumped onto the legal side and is now really the crypto lawyer of Liechtenstein, or one of the crypto lawyers of Liechtenstein. And therefore, we work really close together with all the parties that understand the business, but also, to be honest, at the regulator, at the Financial Market Authority, they understand the technical side and the whole crypto side really good. They are by themselves really deep into crypto since years, and that's really, really great.
Cool. That's quite unique. I mean, I'm sure that one couldn't say that, for example, about Switzerland.
Definitely. That's really was also a surprise for me, because that's, for example, Patrick Bond, who is by himself also into crypto. He is at a lot of meetups, and it's great to speak with him about this new technology and how he thinks that it will change everything.
Do you look at, I mean, even though you're in Liechtenstein and you're working with the bank, of course, in Liechtenstein, but do you sometimes look also at other jurisdictions like Gibraltar or Malta and see what they're doing?
Yes, definitely. We will look a lot at other jurisdictions, as first to Switzerland, secondly to Gibraltar, Malta. And we see what they are doing, but it's the same what we in Liechtenstein are doing. They are actually working on a blockchain regulation. We will see what it includes, but I'm definitely looking forward to it, to see what happens and how it will be regulated and treated in Liechtenstein, because it's great that other countries are working on it, the same as we are working on it in Liechtenstein, because it will be a big thing and we have to work on it, because otherwise we will lose the race.
Yeah. And Liechtenstein, I think, made a lot of efforts also recently to make known that they're very open for business and they want to attract crypto and blockchain startups, right? So has an ecosystem formed already? I mean, are there a lot of companies that work in this field and think about it? And, you said before their meetups.
Exactly. Yes, there are a lot of companies coming every week to Liechtenstein to set up their companies here, to live here next to Liechtenstein, to work in Liechtenstein, to build their new blockchain technology in Liechtenstein. And there are definitely a lot of really important parties, as already discussed, with the lawyers. We have also really good tax experts. We have the government, we have the regulator, we have IT companies who work really close with us. We have the bank Frick, who is really important for the whole ecosystem. So it's really a great thing to be here, a part in Liechtenstein, because I can really see how everything changes and how everything is going on in Liechtenstein, and would like to be a blockchain nation.
Mm-hmm. How often does it happen that, clients maybe move their gold into cryptocurrency or something like this, where they said, you convinced me, now this is available, now this is safe. I always held off on, investing bigger parts of my wealth in cryptocurrency, but now I'm taking the jump. I mean, have you observed something like this?
So it's Bank Frick by itself is, for example, not an asset manager. So we are not kind of a private bank. We are really a FinTech bank who is focusing on intermediaries. So we have these asset managers that are now really going to look at it. They speak with us and say, look, how can you help us? How can we make these cryptocurrencies bankable, as we are already doing it? And they are looking at it to really top it up to their investment strategy for their clients. It's not that there are all of them jumping on it and say, okay, look, we now have to invest 10% of every client's money in crypto, but they're really looking into it, and some strategic investments are already done into cryptocurrencies. And we can see that even that every week, more of the clients of us, so the asset managers and the lawyers and all of them, are looking into it and are interested in it and would like to learn a lot about it. We have a lot of requests on the what is it? How does it work side?
And people still want to also get their feet wet maybe and try, now that they don't run the risk of, right, you said it before, being hacked or their assets being stolen. What do you think this move into cryptocurrency and blockchain technology for you on the bank side, how do you think this will influence the operations of the bank in the future?
I'm definitely a guy who really, really believes in the blockchain. So I think a lot of things will change, because it's perfect way of bookkeeping, to send assets from A to B, to send shares, tokenized shares from A to B, to send money from Switzerland to the States in seconds without having some counterparty involved. So no correspondent bank in the whole setup. So it's really, I think a lot of things will change, definitely in the financial sector. But I also think that in all other areas of the industry out there, a lot of things will change in reference to blockchain and how they are doing their business, how they are making their bookkeeping. And that's exactly the way I'm believing in it. For me, it's really a new way of an industrial revolution that will come out there because of this new technology, because of this distributed ledger technology that is out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What kind of challenges do you see with that? I mean, I'm sure some people at banks or insurance companies, they tell me there's kind of a skill gap, and then there's a cultural, some issues that they have to overcome before they can, automate things and make them transparent in a way that blockchain technology allows. I mean, have you seen challenges like these as well?
Definitely. So first of all, the regulation is a challenge. If it will be over-regulated, we will have a problem. If it will be regulated properly, the first way is ready to go on. Then the thing of the scalability. I'm someone who really believes into side chains. So the way that actually, for example, Bitcoin is working with the Lightning Network is, for me, a really good way to go, because not everything you work on needs to be on the primary chain. It can be on side chains. And that's really the way to scale it up and to bring it to a next level. But definitely, it's at the moment a problem, scalability. A lot of blockchain companies are working on it. I'm looking forward what happens. But to be honest, we are at the moment at the beginning of the industrial revolution. We are at the beginning, like for 20 years ago, the beginning of the internet. I'm too young to really see what really happened, but it's really what happened there in the beginning. You had a minute to download a picture. Actually, you press the button and the picture is already loaded. So it's it's changed the scalability, and it will definitely happen the same in the blockchain world. The scalability will not be a problem in a few months or years.
Let's take a quick break for a message from our sponsors. Descartes Finance takes tradition into the future, harnessing a combination of cutting-edge technology and personal advice in the service of your personal interests. Descartes cuts through the financial noise and focuses exclusively on scientific and evidence-based investing to give investors a better understanding of how to view the financial markets and provide them with the respective investment strategies. To learn more, please visit www.descartes-finance.com. That's DESCARTES-finance.com. When you mentioned scalability. In which other respects do you think the whole crypto ecosystem, or maybe the blockchain technology ecosystem, has to evolve and grow up in the coming years to have more adoptions?
The blockchain companies have to deliver, because actually, to be honest, at the moment we have a lot of blockchain companies out there, but not that many of them have really delivered what they are telling they will deliver. And therefore, we need to see the use cases. We need to see the insurance companies who use the blockchain to insure their clients, to pay out if something needs to be paid out. We need to see the use cases that really happen, because actually all of us believe in it, but we haven't seen that much until now. But it will definitely change, and I hope it will change really soon.
Where do you see the cryptocurrency and ICO space? Where do you see all of this heading in the coming months or maybe years even?
That's a good question, because I think it's really ICOs, for example, will definitely change. We can see it now. A lot of these ICOs that are now going to happen, they were in the beginning some kind of utility, but now everyone realizes these are security tokens. They are really a part of a company, a share or whatever, and it will go into that direction. But that's a really good way to go, because it's with this decentralized network, you can reach everyone in the world. So, for example, if I would have a small company based in Switzerland and I need new money, I can go online, I can make it correct, and I make a prospectus that is allowed to issue shares, and I say, look guys, I need some kind of investment, who can help me? And what are 10,000 Swiss francs if you can reach the whole world? So there are a lot of people out there who would like to help other people, and they say, that's a cool thing. Mauro is doing this new thing, and it looks cool, and I would like to spend him 500 Swiss francs. So the first 500 Swiss francs are realized, and I received them from a country, from a guy I never spoke before. And it's really what's out there and can really help to change the way of raising money for a company. Actually, you only have this possibility with an IPO or with venture capital, and that's a new way of raising money, that the big market out there, everyone in this world can help you with your company. He can give you money, he can invest in your company, he can invest in what you believe. And that's where I think ICOs will go through. It will not be always this blockchain company who really makes something on the blockchain. It will be company XYZ who raises money and will pay you out with some dividend. And that's where I see the way will go through.
You mentioned before you're a big fan of flat structures, of decentralizing things with blockchain technology. How important for you is that ideology behind this movement, beyond just the technology?
But that's a really good question, because I think there are two ways. So somehow, that's what I get as a feedback from the ICO companies, they have problems with too centralized systems. That's in the end why they come to Switzerland or Liechtenstein, because we are some really open thinking governments that, for example, Liechtenstein is somehow really close to Switzerland, and on the other side really close to Europe with the European Economic Area access. So it thinks more or less decentralized. It has this decentralized hub who is a stable government, really good discussions with the regulator, and on the other side it's a really decentralized way of thinking, because since a lot of years Liechtenstein is open for companies from all over the world, and that's why they do not think only centralized, they think forward thinking. And on the other side, if you can store some things decentralized, you make it safer, because it's not that easy to attack you, because if you only have a centralized way or centralized storage solution, for example, you only need to hack this one point and you have everything. If it's decentralized, it's really difficult, and therefore it makes it safer. And therefore I'm a really deep believer into decentralization of some things with a stable and safe centralized government behind.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, absolutely, I agree with you. I think decentralization has so many benefits. But still, right, if you look at a bank or even a government, that's like a central structure. Were there ever any fears or maybe doubts, of these players that maybe at some point they could get competition from decentralized infrastructure?
Yes, I think so. That definitely the governments and other banks are thinking about, what will happen with that? Because there is this decentralized thing out there who could destroy the financial market. But I'm on some kind really believing in this decentralization. But on the other side, I'm honest, and I think most people out there, and I speak a lot with my friends, and they love what I'm doing, but all of them say, Mauro, I don't trust this private key thing. I'm not willing to store it by myself. I do not trust myself enough that I do not lose this information. And therefore, they are really happy to come back to a safe and centralized world that are banks, for example. But that's what we speak about in the really good developed world, like Switzerland, Liechtenstein, and all over Western Europe. But if we go to Africa, for example, or South America, we do not have these working centralized structures. It doesn't work at the moment. And therefore, this decentralized thing where you can get with really easy access your own wallet, so bank the unbanked, that helps this countries really much. And that's why I think some kind of businesses will definitely develop in Europe and will have a lot of good things in Europe. But really the first quick win of blockchain will happen in the world that is actually unbanked and is underdeveloped, because they do not have the access to a working system at the moment. And blockchain helps them to have access to a working system.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mauro, your whole career was in banking. I mean, you've always worked in banks.
Yes.
How did you originally decide to choose that career?
I was this young guy, and I was always impressed by these bankers, this guy in the suits, and they are working with a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And then I grew up and I realized that banking, how it actually is, will change. And that's why I was really motivated to jump into it really early after school. And then I studied part-time. And then the longer I worked in banking, I realized this will change. And this was, for me, the best thing to end up at Bank Frick, because it's this modern small bank who is really open for new things. And as I told, started in 2011 to work as a FinTech bank, as a payment bank. And that's, for me, I realized that's the future, because everyone needs to buy and pay things. So payment is an important thing. And the other side, FinTech is the future. We are getting a lot of new technologies, so we need to work on FinTech. And then in 2011, as I already told, this blockchain. And then in 2013, we were really at Bank Frick and were able to look at it. And for me, it was amazing to see how the financial sector can change and how Bank Frick has changed since I'm here, and I'm working at Bank Frick since 2013. And it's amazing to see what happens in these 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you feel sometimes that you're changing the world?
That's a good thing, because I think I'm really, with Bank Frick and Liechtenstein and Switzerland, we are here really changing the world. And I love what happens in Crypto Valley. I love what happens in Vaduz and in Liechtenstein, because we are here, we work together, we help each other, we motivate each other. It's really great to see what happens, and how I think that Liechtenstein and Switzerland will definitely change the world if they keep on track and if they find a good way of regulation and not over-regulation.
Mm-hmm. Cool. It's interesting, I mean, I made, in 2016, I made a whole interview series with people at banks about FinTech. It was called FinTech Made in Switzerland. And whenever I spoke to people there at banks, they were very cautious of the whole FinTech thing. And they said, I'm not sure people really want to have their money with a tech company. They trust in banks and, they trust in us, but not necessarily in Google and Facebook and all that. And I think blockchain technology has really changed that, right? I mean, it was clear that all of a sudden there could be new technology out there that would really change the game.
Exactly. And it's really funny because that's what a lot of people say to me, Mauro, but why are you as a bank open for this crypto and this blockchain? Because this will destroy your work. And I say, no, definitely not. And then it's how it at the moment works. You have your private key and you store your assets in it. The blockchain needs trusted entities in the end, because I store, for example, 100 Bitcoins by myself. That's worth 800K. So if I really would have that amount of money in a nano ledger S or whatever, in an HSM module, and someone knows it, I'm a target, and I'm scared to store 100K at my home in a safe, in a vault. Because, to be honest, it's the same like you would have cash under your pillow, and that's not what it should be. So there are, for me, two ways. So one thing is, would I like to store it at a tech company, or would I like to store it at a fully regulated entity, so a bank? And that's, for me, where banks should work really closely together with tech companies, some kind of this new modern technique together with, on the other side, this fully regulated entity that's in Liechtenstein, for example. So therefore, for me, I think blockchain will change everything. But if banks make it right, financial institutions make it right, it will help them to make a lot of new business with new things. It will be a new way of banking. It will not be the guy in the suit who sits there and goes eating with the rich guy. It will be completely new. It will be a technical driven banking. It will be a modern, other way of banking. And that's why I really think banks will change completely. And if they do not realize it, they will have a huge problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. You just said it. I mean, that was my next question. I mean, when you were at that ICO conference there was another guy from Credit Suisse. He was the guy from the other bank at
Yes.
that conference. And he was pretty cautious, I think, about what they want to do and what they can do with cryptocurrencies. So do you think when you look around, right, with your peers, or when you speak with your friends and colleagues who work at other banks, how do you see them handling the whole topic?
There are the big banks, they are slow. That's the problem, because they're big. They need to have a lot of decisions made by senior management and even higher management. And it's not that easy for them to be that fast, but it will be like always. That's what I think. If the train really goes on and it will be fast, they will buy other companies that are doing this blockchain thing. So at the moment, banks are definitely looking at it from the back and say, oh, look, guys, we will look at it, we will let you know, and we will see what happens. But if it really happens, they will be really fast and buy some tech companies and make it possible by themselves.
Mm-hmm. Is there a time frame maybe that you see when that could happen?
That's really difficult. It can be really fast, but it can take a lot of time. It's more or less the same like with the beginning of the internet. Now really we have the scalable solutions that will come, and for example, blockchain, Lightning Network and everything on Bitcoin, it can be really fast, but if it takes longer, it will take longer, and we need to look at it and should not be too fast. We should really focus on it, look how it works. And it's good that the big banks are not jumping too fast on it, because it can somehow be done or finished in a year. But I really, really believe in it. And I think it will change everything, but it will take for some things longer than we expect. And for other things, it will be much faster than we expect.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you also have contact with institutional investors?
Yes, definitely. We have also contact with institutional investors who are now really looking into this blockchain world and what it is, and yes, how it can be changed. And they say, yes, okay, actually, we would like to invest money in this ICO. How can we do it? We do not like to have our own wallet. Can you help us? Yes.
Oh, cool. So they are moving into this space as well. I mean, sure, not with huge percentages of their assets under management, but with maybe a fraction of a percent, or what do you
exactly
see?
Yes, exactly. That's really what I see at the moment. They are really looking into it, are interested. They are still somehow scared, but they are now really looking into it. There are some family offices who are really interested to jump into it. There are some VC funds who would like to jump into it. There are a lot of companies who think that it could be also fast money. And that's, for me, the wrong way of thinking, because it's about the technology and about the things that will change, and not about the fast money that is into this blockchain investment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You said they're looking at it, right? I mean, that's what I'm also observing. Many people are interested in it, but they haven't pulled the trigger yet. Do you think there is a risk maybe that they miss out on something good?
That's always possible, because there are a lot of big companies in the past who forgot to jump on the new train. If we look at, for example, in the photography industry with Kodak, who totally forgot to jump on this digitalization point. So it will definitely happen the same. Some of the big players will not be here anymore in 10 years. But I think a lot of big players will realize it, will jump on it, and will see what's possible and what will happen. And I hope that it will not be too late.
Mm-hmm. Mauro, if you weren't working in banking, what do you think would you do?
I think especially now, I would definitely work in a blockchain company and help some kind of an ICO to make their business possible, and be out there, speak with the guys about it, advertise it. And really, I would really be in the same position and would like to change the world.
Cool. So thanks a lot, Mauro, for taking time today.
Thanks you, Manuel. It was a pleasure.
Thanks so much for joining us today. More info on our guest and our sponsors is in the show notes of this episode and on the podcast website, theblockchainandus.com. To help people find this podcast, it's important that you download, subscribe, and give it a top rating and review on iTunes or on the podcast platform of your choice. I'm Manuel Staggers, and I thank you very much for listening.